right behind me. There's a tree down on this entire street. You can see that someone has left a candle on the scene to remember Danny and his life. If you or anyone you know knows what happened to Danny or any information, please contact the Macon Regional Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen. 2 homicides in downtown Macon just days apart. 28-year-old Quentin Bernard marks the 39th homicide in Macon. Right now, I'm at the Monroe County Rec Center where dozens have lined up to vote with about an hour and a half left to cast their ballot. If you look behind me, you can see this line is pretty long and it's continuing to grow as the time comes closer. That's right. Now, the damage you see here is all that is left from this home. If you look right behind me, you can see that this damage is pretty extreme. Peach State wouldn't be the Peach State without a winter season. Now, I spoke with the owner and president of Dickey Farms, Mr. Robert Dickey, and he told me that during this time, the trees right behind me, this weekend's rainfall makes it nearly impossible to get through roads just like this. Now, I spoke with the county and they say they can't do anything about it. Now, I just left from inside, was speaking with the Hancock County Sheriff's Office, and they tell me at this time there are no updates on the case. But what I can tell you is we know that 22-year-old Daquan Williams is deceased after an incident that occurred yesterday.
If I get up in the morning and I know what today is and I know my name, it's going to be a great day.
51-year-old Arthena Caston, a wife, mother, and grandmother, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's less than 8 months ago.
And he called me, my husband, and on March 23rd, we went to his office and he gave us the diagnosis. And that was the day.
The day her life changed forever.
All I thought about with me was this is where I'm going to be, the same place my father was, where he didn't know me.
Arthena's father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and she remembers watching him slowly fade away.
I didn't think anything else about Alzheimer's. I didn't think anything else about dementia. I just thought, I'm going to be at the place where I don't know my grandbaby.
Caston told me she wishes that it would not have happened to her.
It's a lonely disease because it holds you in.
Disease that can be passed down from generation to generation, according to family medicine doctor Jaish Patel.
Most people, when they come to a doctor for a diagnosis of dementia or a treatment for dementia, they look for an answer in a medication. Unfortunately, answer is not in medication.
Patel says cognitive and physical exercise is most helpful. Caston had to retire after her diagnosis and leans on her family during her battle with this disease.
It always brings a tear to my eye when I think about not being there with them.
As this slow progressive disease begins to affect Caston, she has one message for her family.
I want them to know that even though I might not be the person that they want me to be, the person that I am, I love them more than anything.
Put my hands around his neck and squeeze his neck and let him see how it feels, how he did all these women's.
Eddie Smith lost his sister over 30 years ago when she was killed by a man who has since confessed to killing 90 women. Smith, for decades, has waited for answers, and nearly a week ago, he received that phone call.
I want to talk to you about Fredonia Smith. And I said, yeah, what about her? Well, we found the guy who killed her. I said, don't thank us, I said, thank you, Jesus.
Smith says since then, he hasn't been able to sleep.
It brought back a lot of memory, a lot of bad memories. You know, I remember the day after the funeral. You know, I remember running in this house.
Smith says he remembers Christmas, one of the best times for his family, and this is no coincidence.
That's a big gift, but it hurts. Still.
For over 3 decades, Smith held a grudge towards the wrong person he thought killed his sister.
The person I owe an apology to is my sister's boyfriend at that time. All the years I thought he did it.
But that wasn't the killer. Fredonia Smith was murdered in 1982 by Samuel Little, a serial killer, one that has killed from the East Coast to the West Coast, according to Bibb County Captain Shermaine Jones.
He's at a body count of 90. In United States history, that's hadn't been heard of.
During Little's confession, he gave details that only the killer would know.
Little was able to give information about where they were sitting when the incident took place, where he dropped her body.
Little is already receiving life in prison. Jones says he won't see the light of day.
You can add time on time, but what's life on life?
Smith says he would love to look his sister's killer in the face and say,
Tell him my sister's name. And she had people that cared about her, loved her.
Nearly 90 families across the United States are finally receiving closure.
We all have something in common. We lost a loved one.
Now the question is, 36 years later, why did Little confess?
He might die soon. You know, maybe that's the reason he came forward with all of this, trying to clear his conscience.
Smith said Fredona was a loving person who loved kids and was still a child at heart, a child that died fighting to the very end.
I asked was my sister raped. They said no. They said that she fought him.
I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every time I shut my eyes, I just saw that burning plane.
There were no survivors. July 10th, 2017, a plane crashed in Edabina, Mississippi, killing all on board. 15 Marines and 1 sailor, leaving 16 families mourning the loss of their loved ones. Morgan Zufall lost her fiancé, Sergeant Diedrich Schmeeman.
I was speaking to him right before he got on the plane. And even the last text I got from him, it said, "I love you very much. I will call you in 8 hours."
But Morgan never got that call. According to the U.S. Marine Corps Twitter account, on the evening of July 10th, a USMC KC-130 mishap occurred. A mishap that took the lives of 16 servicemen and required a military investigation to search for answers. The military investigation wasn't complete until 1 year later, and the report of the causes of the crash were released this week. Investigators refer to the causes of the crash as a catastrophic sequence of events, a sequence that began right here at home. According to the military report, the Robins Air Force Base failed to detect, remove, and repair corrosion-infected blades. The corrosion of the blades caused a ripple effect. According to the military report, the blade sliced through the aircraft, and the impact caused the propeller to break loose. In result, knocked part of the stabilizer off the plane. 13 out of the 16 blades had a form of corrosion that should have been replaced, according to the military investigation. The Robins Air Force Base released a statement today saying, "We sincerely regret maintenance work performed on a propeller blade at the Warner Robins Air Logistics Complex in 2011 may have contributed to the KC-130T aircraft mishap on July 10, 2017. According to the military investigation report, due to the catastrophic sequence of events and structural failures, it is unlikely the air crew had time to apply sufficient input to the final outcome." The report also gives 17 recommendations to prevent something like this from ever happening again. Now families are left having to relive the heart-wrenching moment when they lost their loved ones just over a year ago.
It's a plane. How do you not take care of it and do what you're supposed to do? It just blows my mind.